nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have Adam Callis joining us to lead us in prayer. Introduce yourself and church or anything.
Yes, I preach over just across the road at Coopertown Church of Christ. Been there for about 10 years, been in this preaching role for going on almost 3 years. Yeah, let's pray together. God our Father, we worship you, Lord. We're grateful to be here together tonight. Thank you for your love and your grace and your mercy for us, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to be gathered together. Thank you for the beauty of your creation, the warmth today we can enjoy after so much cold, Lord. We pray for all those who are present in this meeting, Father, tonight, overseeing things that pertain to the people here in this community. Father, we pray for wisdom, for guidance, for humility in all that they do. Father, pray for wisdom in the days ahead, not just in this meeting, but in the things that they do, that you will guide them, Father, and surrender to you, Lord. And we ask this all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Roll call, please.
Alderman Mason.
Here.
Alderman Hayes.
Here.
Alderman Randall. Here. Vice Mayor Anderson.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here. All right. Move on to the approval of the minutes from the January 28th meeting. To review them, I'll entertain a motion.
Let us approve.
Motion. Yes. Roll, please.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Alderman Randall.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes. Yes. Alderman Mason.
Yes.
Mayor Smith.
Yes.
Passed.
All right. Now for the public forum. Sign in to speak. We have some signatures. Just a reminder, whenever you speak, we need your name, your address to be recorded, and then you have 3 minutes. So, first on the list is Glenn.
I used to be the mayor of Coopertown from 2016 to 2020. And I live in Oak Point subdivision. And I'm speaking on behalf of Sonny Hunter. He's had a family dispute, started back in June of 2021. Police department was called out to there. His 2 sisters and brother, said you can't live in the house anymore. So he's been pretty well homeless. Back in November 23, at Chief Haley, Sergeant Parker, they wrote a letter stating that, he's homeless. I had a copy of the police report and other documents I put together and sent it to Tunica Towers to see if they could assist Sonny Hunter in his housing situation. They responded, since it's 31 acres, that can be split up between him and 7 other siblings. Hollis Creek and Cooper Nicholson is in the flood zone, so they couldn't help him there. So, end of last year, Dickie Vanguard sent him a letter because he's trying to put a 12-foot by 24-foot shed on there. And he did carpentry work for me. He replaced my back door, put a little cat door in there. And then my wife wanted a California queen bed, so he made a frame to extend the bed frame. So, but he's got a box trailer with a bunch of tools. So it'd be nice if he could put his tools and do, carpentry work or prep work in that shed. And he recently added electricity to it. So, his family is accusing him of, living in that shed, but he's got a girlfriend in Hermitage, he's got people here locally he stays with. When we go down to take care of my mother-in-law, he stays at our house upstairs when we're gone. He's got other friends in the community, South Room mayor board alderman meeting on January 28th, and then next thing you know, he got a police citation to go to traffic court. So I talked to Chief Haley, he said the citation, the chances are the judge won't be able to rule on that. It's out of his jurisdiction, so it'll probably get moved up to Chancery Court. But I just hate for the town to get involved in a family dispute. I don't think the town needs to deal with that.
Okay,
So, all right.
appreciate you. Yes, thank you. Sonny Hunter, is that?
That's me.
All right.
I appreciate the work, man. Chief Haley, I appreciate y'all.
Sir, I need say your name and your address, please, for the record.
Sonny Hunter, and I live on Hollis Creek in the tent. Have been for 3.5 damn years because of my family.
Okay.
My brother came down and accused me of stealing his safe. We lived in the same house, my mother's house. I stayed there for 2 years taking care of her at night. When she passed away, my brother moved in. He decided, well, come in and accuse me of stealing the safe. Me and my daughter, we had to go through coming out and doing depositions and everything. I never touched the safe. Anyway, my sister decided they were going along with him, so they evicted me from the house. I had filed for disability with the VA. The VA told me I couldn't work anymore, or I couldn't go get my disability. I fought for them for 3.5 years. And during that time, I lived in a tent on the creek bank. And have been until I got this storage shed. I finally got my disability. I got the money to buy a storage shed to where I can stay there if I'm not going to Hermitage or not traveling with Glenn. I've got other friends around here, and I don't see what the problem is with me being down there. If I want to stay there 5 or 6 nights a week, what problem is it? It's on my property. Why should I pay $1,200–1,400 a month for rent somewhere else when I can live on my property, stay on my property? I've been there for 3.5 years in the damn tent. 0-degree weather. I lived on $500 a month until I got my disability this past June. And I'm putting all this bull crap you got with cones and all this other crap. There's no sense in it. And I don't understand what the problem is. They come out there, I was going to be at the board meeting last month. Vicky and Chief, Lieutenant Higley come out there. He stood out there and told me, there's no need you going to the board meeting, you got to go to court. They sat there and wrote me a citation. I don't understand it.
Okay.
The only reason that I've got is my family doesn't want me down there because we got a pavilion down there called Pop's Place. That's where my mom's ashes, my dad's ashes, my brother's ashes are at. And that's where I hope my ashes are going to be. And they don't want me down there because she told me when I got my Betsy come down there, well, we don't want you down here because it's going to interfere with our parties we have at Pop's Place. Bull crap. I'm right next to my mom and dad and my brother. About as far as here to across the parking lot out here from where the pavilion is. When I first put my tent up down there, they came down. I was in the men's club meeting with Glenn and Bob Krause and them in the men's club. Went out there on Thursday night after I put my tent up. I come home Thursday night. My sister done been down there, took my tent down, put it on my trailer, and sent me a text. If it's not gone in the morning, we're going to sell your tent and trailer on eBay. So you see what kind of crap I'm having to put up with. I don't see the sense in it.
Appreciate your time and stating, sort of addressing the board.
I mean, I just need to cut this crap out about me having I've got a tool trailer done, $10,000 worth of tools in it. I need another place to put tools, I can't even get my trailer, I got so much in it.
And you can't haul material, you know.
Time's up.
I appreciate your, and I appreciate you taking under consideration advisories, and to your point, you know, we shouldn't get involved in a family matter. And I believe that this is probably something a little more specific to the codes and issues of that nature if you're residing there.
Dickie brought me a letter down there telling me that it was gonna cost me $50 a day till I moved my trailer. I moved that building off the property, which is my property, part of my property.
I believe there's a court date for that issue that you're more than welcome to obviously address that with the attorney or the judge. So that's it. Appreciate you taking the time. We're gonna move on. Wraps up the public forum. Way to go to old business. And there is no old business. Move on to new business. In your packet 7.1. And we have the engineer here this evening. Noel is going to discuss an issue that we have out on South Walker Road. There's some severe erosion that's going on out there, and he's going to kind of walk us through that and talk about some options.
Yeah, good evening to the board. In case I haven't met you, my name is Noel. I'm the town engineer, also a consultant for Delve Underground during the day. I'm just going to go through my shtick. It's about 10 minutes, just describing the problem and the two solutions that we're proposing. First, I'd like to also formally thank the town of Coopertown for allowing Delve Underground to participate on this project. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge that the building commissioner and road supervisor who assisted us on this project.
On a side note, and you guys will hear more about this later, is the infrastructure steering committee that we're putting together. Noel's also going to be a part of that committee to help us out as well. So,
Do you think we could kill just these two lights, or is that impossible?
it should be.
One or all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I doubt we all want to sit in the dark. So here's an overview of the area. The eroded ditch line is highlighted in yellow and labeled the area of concern. This shows this ditch line is a contributing conveyance for the stormwater runoff for the surrounding area into the flood zone highlighted in blue. What is causing the erosion issue? The overall factor, as we probably all know, is high flow velocity, but we found out that there are two contributing factors that induce the high flow velocity for this area. The first is the steep grade upstream from the area of concern. As you can see that this steep grade ditch line alignment is approximately 13%, and right here is the beginning of the area of concern. Up this grade is about 13%, so as this flow drops down, it's picking up velocity. Also, when it enters in here, that's when it starts eroding the area. Here are some photos taken along the ditch alignment that exemplifies the high flow conditions, which causes the soil erosion and soil displacement for the downstream stretch of the ditch line. The photo at the top of the page shows the ditch line conditions during heavy rain event that occurred on February 15th. And the lower photo is a comparison of the same area during the normal conditions. Based on our assessment, we believe that this ditch line is an ephemeral, which means it's only active during heavy rain event and acts as an overflow relief ditch, possibly for the Hollis Creek tributary. The other factor contributing to the high flow velocity is the decrease of the ditch cross-sectional area. As the ditch moves downstream and closer to the north shoulder where we're observing the erosion issue, the flow increases. The picture shown here is upstream from the problem area. As you can see, based on this cross-sectional area within the problem, this cross-sectional area of the ditch line is much smaller than this cross-sectional area upstream. This transition and reduction of the cross area is also contributing to the flow velocity. In regards, well, let me stop there before I talk about the temporary solution. Is there any questions? Sounds good to me. All right, the temporary solution. These photos present the three areas that have reached a critical point, and we've identified these areas as candidates for the temporary solution. Road shoulder undermine number 1, which is located right here. Also in the foreground, or in the background right here. This, the road north shoulder has been completely eroded away, and this road substructure is currently being undermined and is exposed due to the erosion issues. The second issue, the second area that we've identified that needs to be remedied soon is road shoulder undermine area number 2, which is right here, located right here. Due to the high flow velocity of the roadway north shoulder is currently deteriorating in this area, and it's anticipated that the road substructure will become exposed after a number of future rain events. The last area that needs to be remedied is the 5-foot deep gully, which is located 40 feet upstream from the road shoulder undermine number 1. In this area, the turbulent flow velocity is so intense, the flow is eroding the ditch bottom. This erosion has caused a 5-foot deep gully to have been created, and it has also exposed an AT&T communication line. Also, just to give you some perspective, this photo, I'm actually standing in the ditch taking a picture downstream, so it shows you how deep this area of the ditch line is. For the temporary fix, the temporary solutions are not to address the overall global issues identified throughout the area of concern, but rather to protect the integrity of the pavement structure for these 3 specific areas I just introduced to the town. The purpose of these temporary fixes is just to get through the upcoming spring heavy rain season. Type 1, the temporary solution, this will address the 5-foot deep gully. This includes a rock buttress to be placed to assist in creating a passive resistance for the eroded ditch walls, preserve the current drop in the ditch bottom, and diminish the possible future erosion. This temporary solution, as I stated earlier, this could be utilized, and we propose that this should be extended into the permanent solution. One benefit of having this 5-foot drop in the erosion is that it assists in dissipating the flow's energy, which ultimately dissipates the flow's velocity. So we believe that we should preserve this, line it with geotextile, place Class A1 riprap against the exposed walls, and as I said, use this as a permanent solution.
Back on the other slide, the 20 foot, is that from the center of the road, or is that from the edge of the pavement?
No, so this is actually a cross section, or this is a profile view. So this is in the ditch line. So this 20 foot, the ditch or the road would be, if it was an X direction coming out of the page.
Okay.
So this is actually within the ditch line. This rock buttress would be placed. So where you're seeing the flow, it comes down, it'll drop, and again, this is all this rock is within the confines of the existing ditch line. So there would be no rock on the road.
So if you went 20 foot from the center of Walker Road, you're going to be exceeding that one, Jim.
No, so what I'm saying is, in this area right here,
Okay.
this is where, so I'm standing, my back is to the eroded 5-foot wall. That 20 feet of rock is going to go down the ditch line.
But that red horizontal line, is that to the center of the road?
No,
down?
that's just to show you
The elevation.
the elevation change.
Okay.
It removes the waterfall, right?
Yeah, it removes the
Removes the
waterfall.
waterfall with a rock ramp
Yes, sir.
in the center line of the ditch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
Any
my,
other-
but my concern is that if it's 20 foot from the center of the road.
It's not 20 foot.
20 foot down the ditch.
So if
No,
this,
no, what I'm saying is, the town, if you have Walker Road and you have the center of Walker Road going this way, out toward the ditch line, the town is only right away.
No,
20
you're-
foot.
I understand what you're saying. That's,
The
so,
town's right away is further than 20 feet on that road.
So you've got enough room to recut a ditch there?
Yeah, if we don't, we can get construction easements, and we've already talked to the landowner that says he's willing to let us work within his.
yeah.
Okay.
So that ditch line, as you're showing, it runs,
Parallel to the road.
yeah, it's running parallel. So all this temporary work is gonna be done within the ditch line as temporary work.
But the other one, you're gonna have to get an easement or rights from the landowner.
Well, first you have to survey it to see where, how much of an
So to
easement.
keep this moving along, we can get kind of the comments and the questions a little bit later.
Yeah, so-
I wanna get to the.
So the temporary, or excuse me, the type 2 temporary solution, this is basically somewhat the same. This is to address the road shoulder undermine area number 1 and number 2. This purpose of this remediation is just to prevent additional erosion of the road substructure and protect the existing north shoulder. To accomplish this, we'll propose a rock check dam system to be installed, which will provide temporary support for the eroded road north shoulder. Additionally, the permeable rock mass will assist in slowing down the flow velocity as the water moves through the rock mass. In regards to the temporary solution costs, it is anticipated that the road supervisor, along with his crew, will self-perform the activities for the temporary solution. And it's anticipated that the cost for material will be approximately $4,200. An additional cost of $2,000 if needed. Delve Underground can perform a oversight during most critical part of the construction. Any questions about the cost?
And you're saying the temporary solution can be incorporated into your next step, the permanent solution?
Yeah, this part right here can be incorporated into the permanent solution. We'll, like I said, we'll preserve that 5-foot drop to help dissipate the energy as it enters into this area right here. The permanent solution. To address the global issues for the eroded stretch of ditch line, once the existing ditch line extends past this embankment area. See, the problem is up between this embankment area and the road, that area of the ditch is squeezed. So that creates the flow velocity to increase. So once we get past this embankment area, we propose to realign the ditch, get it away from the shoulder of the road, and then also to help assist with slowing down the flow velocity within this transition area, we propose placing TDOT Class C riprap. The diameter of this riprap is from, I think, 6 to 36 inches, and it's designed to slow down flow velocity of 12 feet per second, which I think exceeds what you're experiencing in the most extreme cases. Also, while we relocate that ditch line, that'll give you room to redesign the ditch line. And for us to do that, we would have to do a simple hydraulics and hydrology study that we can do in-house at our at Delve Underground. And once we get the findings from that H&H study, we'll be able to redesign that ditch geometry. And the purpose is to open it up, create more cross-sectional area, which will also slow down the flow. And then, you can't see this, but down here, if we realign this ditch line, we'll have to excavate that culvert at the driveway, which needs to be cleaned out anyways, because it's about 50% full of silt and rock cobbles that the owners placed trying to do the same thing, but at a smaller level. And replace that in, and then we will tie that realigned ditch into the existing ditch downstream from that, because there's no erosion issues occurring down there. Also, here's just a diagram showing this. The excavated material that we'll take out of the new realignment will backfill into the old ditch alignment and rebuild the north shoulder. So in regards to the permanent solution cost, Delve Underground performed a construction cost estimation utilizing TDOT 2023 unit rates for construction activities. And based on this high-level cost estimation, we anticipate the cost during 2025 to be approximately $97,000. An additional base cost for surveying and design professional services, which includes developing drawings for the contractor, as well as developing that hydraulic and hydrology study. That's totaling $13,000. And if needed, to ensure the chosen contractor who performs the work adheres to the drawings, an optional cost Delve Underground is offering is having a field engineer on site only during important construction activities for approximately $15,000. Any questions?
You guys have, this isn't something we have to take a vote on tonight. We can kind of discuss it with the street department as well. I mean, and obviously it's something that needs to be addressed, because that roadway is gonna have some issues here.
And also, sorry to interrupt, one thing I wanted to point out, when I was out there during the rain event, I don't know if you could see this because of there's not much contrast, but right here, you're starting to see tension cracking along the pavement, and that's just a telltale sign that there's some instability occurring below within the road substructure.
So the cost estimate that you got there obviously is based on, TDOT rates and things like that.
And also, we did a quality assurance against that cost estimation. We did a separate study based on local equipment rental, local labor cost, and that total cost was in line with what we were estimating based on the TDOT cost. Or the estimation from the TDOT unit rates.
Of course, if we go to a local market here and get estimates and things like that, there can be some variation in the cost even more.
Yeah.
Hopefully, John Tabor, to get that down.
Another question, is there part of that needs to be addressed immediately?
Yeah, the 5-foot gully eroded area right here needs to be addressed. And then the road shoulder undermine number 1. And then also this area as well. So basically where the road shoulder has been deteriorated or is undermining, the erosion's undermining the road substructure.
And we repaved that whole road.
Looks like, to me, you need to cut all that, repack that shoulder and move that ditch line over somewhere it's not eroding under the road anymore.
Yeah, that's what we're suggesting with
Then you go in with your riprap all the way down through there to slow that water down.
Yeah.
But I saw where you've got the ditch moved over that far. I don't know how far that is from where the water's running, but it looks to me like it doesn't have to be moved over that far. Just cut all that out beside that ditch, repack that road, beside the road, build that shoulder back up, and then you've got a new ditch up through there.
Yeah, we just estimated that it would probably be 10 feet. If you relocate that 10 feet, that'll give you a 3-to-1 slope and give you about 2 to 4 feet of road shoulder.
So when you're saying relocate 10 feet, I mean, the issue right now is the ditch is right up pretty much against the road. So
Yeah.
you're kind of moving it back to where it should have been, or
Yeah.
it originally was?
Well, no, I mean, all along that road shoulder, that ditch line is on that shoulder, but when you get down into this area, I feel like you need to capitalize on the open area, and since that flow velocity is so fast, realign that ditch
To slow it down.
and you can adjust the geometry to help slow down the velocity.
Like Johnny said, landowners are already in agreement to widen on their side. We shouldn't have any problem even if we went over past the right of way of the city.
That's down there at Skeeter's Place,
Yes.
across the street.
Yeah.
So, you know, we could do that, but whether it has to be 10 foot away, I don't know. But that's the problem throughout Crippletown. All of the ditches are running right beside the roads.
Yeah,
Not all roads, but a lot of them.
yeah.
And that's where the ditches are running, and we're gonna have that problem everywhere when it starts eroding on the road. The ditches actually need to be moved over from where they're at, and the side of the road's built back there.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I actually live in Coopertown. I live down the street, so I've become pretty familiar with your ditches.
Yeah.
And your flooding issues.
That'll be our ditches, ours. You live in Coopertown, remember?
Yeah, that's
Ours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I don't think we will. It's just a matter of just need to digest it and kind of get moving on probably the temporary fix.
The temporary fix doesn't have to go up for a vote.
No, it's part of the maintenance, so I think we'll get that.
Well, definitely the shelter issue needs to be worked out.
Right.
Whether it's temporary or permanent fix, we've got to fix that, we're gonna go down the under the road, and rock road.
Are there any cones on that one bad drop over the right shoulder?
Any cones?
Really, some of them.
We put cones on before and disappear. So, same with any cones that we put on any road or any barricade, they get taken and, well, the cones are about $30.
Our code, our code.
All right. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll move on along to 7.2, the first reading of ordinance 2025-003, which is the mixed use industrial commercial zone design guidelines. Planning committee, and these have been worked on for quite some time. I think you read through them, it basically kind of spells out, we're trying to retain the rural environment, preserving rich history and whatnot with, as the guidelines and with industrial resource development is done, which is discussing landscaping, sidewalks, entrances, etc. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah. Motion to discuss.
Right, I'd like a motion to discuss,
Yes.
open it up for discussion for
Questions?
7.2, for the first reading ordinance of 2025-0.
We have a motion to discuss.
What was your motion to discuss?
Yes.
That is the proper way to do it.
I'll second that.
All right. Open for discussion.
I highlighted one piece in here under the maintenance, since we were talking about roads and erosion and flooding. The only thing on here that I saw and read, and I may have missed it, about proper drainage, not wastewater, but natural water such as this. The only thing I saw was just the drainage system shall be kept clean, free of obstacles, but it doesn't talk about the drainage period. Like, is there a particular slope that's needed, or is there a drainage?
Yes. And Matt speaks to that, whenever you do a building, have to calculate water runoffs. And how much water coming off, velocities coming off, and all your drains, your drafts, everything has to be sized to that. Am I correct, Matt, in that?
Yes, sir, for development, you have to compare the pre-runoff before construction to the post-runoff, and there's certain design level storms, you have to make sure that the post-runoff, the stormwater doesn't exceed the pre. So that's through, I think, the stormwater regulations in the town of Cooperstown, so those guidelines are specific to those uses, but there's still the stormwater guidelines that would be underlined no matter what type of development.
Because you're gonna have pre-existing, you've got dredge there, your runoff's gonna be a lot less than you've got asphalt or concrete.
Sure. I think because there is an area in here that says that, that sign shall conform with the Cooperstown zoning ordinance. There's other things in here that says conform with other substantiated ordinances. I was concerned about the proper drainage used for runoff.
That's all part of the design phase, they have to approve. See, that's a lot of time we get involved in a lot of.
Got it, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other discussion? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Just first reading. I'll second.
Second.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Alderman Mays?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Rhoda? Yes. Mayor Smith?
Moving on to 7.3 is the budget amendment. This is the first reading of the ordinance. And I want to discuss that a little bit. So, do I hear a motion to approve discussion?
To discuss.
Yes, thank you.
I'll second.
Second. We have it open for discussion. Now I can address some of these. So, the page here with all of the numbers, a couple things I do want to point out. You guys,
This page?
this is not, I'm sorry.
It's right there.
That's what I say, I couldn't sleep on it. But it's not a 7.3 or 4, am I right?
It was added in, yeah. So, in the numbers, you have the beginning and the ending, and what the beginning fund balance is, that is what was originally estimated the fund balance to begin this fiscal year with. Or end with, coming into our new fiscal year. Amended is actually what it ended up, based on the inaccurate year's activity that was done. So what I really want to point out, especially in the general fund, is, the estimated fund balance was 800,000, and it ended at 1.7 million, which actually is very favorable to the town in the sense that shows that we manage our funds and the revenues and things like that based on that increase. When we do our budgets, historically they've been done in a conservative manner so that we have some room in there even for kind of the what ifs. Obviously the one on here that, if you look at the state street aid, that is the one that's probably one of the bigger topics, in the last few years. That one is going to obviously have some conversation on it because it is dropped some, obviously in this case. We're going to have to do some improvements and things like that. But the overall totals are so I want to bring that to your attention. On the second page, the revenue modifications, the THSO grant is an increase of 20,000. Then there's an increase in the federal grant of $157,629. Going down to the expenditures, the first line item there is an increase in the general fund expenditures of $67,000. I want to put a pin in that one just for a second. And you look at the second line, which is the increase in the federal grant expenditures, $57,629. That is the exact amount as line 2 above. That is basically a wash. The federal money that flows through, you have to have the expense, and you have to have it offset. So that's a zero effect. Moving down, the state street aid expenditures of $700, that's just some additional miscellaneous items. The fire fund expenditures of the $15,000 is to get everything trued up in the fire fund for the payments, and E911 is also in there. And then the last one of $150 in the general contracting expenditures. Going back to the $67,000. I want to break that down just a little bit, because it actually, it's going to be a little complicated, but it ends up being about a $30,000 increase whenever you look at it, and we can jump in here and kind of hit me if I think it's wrong based on the totals. But of the $67,000, almost $17,000 is insurance increases and changes that when the rules came in, which are after the budget, in addition to what we thought it would be. And then there's a $10,000 kind of a buffer that's being put in for employee salaries for inspections and things like that with Derby Meadows and the other developments on my neighborhood, things like that. So there's some extra money that's been put in there as a buffer. There is a $15,000 police grant in that number as well. However, that will be reimbursed back from funds.
If it's a grant that they're giving us, we don't have to pay that back, it's a grant.
Correct. And that's in the 20. That's the revenue, and there's the offsetting expense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Tennessee Highway State job is not, we're just making us report that there's no other.
It nets that back out, but it's in that 67, so that's why I want to put that. And then there's a net effect of the building commissioner expense of $3,700, where there's $20,000 in additional salary expense that's in other building inspection expenses.
The 20,000 is for, inspection, that kind of stuff, the professional services, we had to increase that. It's just when re-inspections happen, we send invoices out, and that goes back in there, so it kind of washes itself out. But currently, we're sitting at 16,000 unpaid invoices from re-inspection or engineering fees from bigger developments.
So
Once
you-
those are paid, it washes that out.
So it's like, shouldn't the building inspection be sort of a wash, because the builder paid that to the, well, pays it to the town, and the town pays it to the inspector.
Correct.
So that's pretty much.
So it is going to be a wash. We've got $3,700 left in there as kind of a buffer as well, just to offset the timing of that. So that's what has been requested to increase the budget. But yes, you are correct. That goes in there. So when I bring all that down, that number is not quite as big as what it was when we started, but I want to bring that to your attention.
So we're looking at a budget increase of $30,000.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions regarding that?
Make a motion to approve budget amendment. 2004. Second.
Okay, cool.
Alderman Roden? Yes. Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Mason?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes. 7.4 is the selection of the 2024-2025 auditor. We also have a copy of the audit report. Yes, okay. We're not gonna go through that in detail at this point in time. We do have the finance committee meeting scheduled in March. However, Mr. Poole has done our audit this past year, he's done it in the past. I will make a recommendation to continue with that auditor. But you have the audit as well for you to go through any questions and review anything, and then ask questions to myself and then I'll go from that. But the funding balances you guys will be looking at, so. Do we have a motion to?
Motion to keep, Mr. Clayton.
Roll, please.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Alderman Mason,
Yes.
Alderman Hayes.
Yes.
Mayor Ryan. Yes. Mayor Smith.
Yes. Moving on to 8.1, the reports. In the packet of the bank balance report. And along with that, I would like to now point out this report here. What Robert Dale has the first line with the colors on it. This is a new one that we're kind of rolling out here, and it's a high-level summary of all of our funds. And it's got the budget amounts of revenue and expenses, as well as what's been used to the date of the report and the percent of the budget that's been used. So this is something that works for you guys at a kind of a high level. If you have specific detailed questions, then we would address those with them or with myself.
This is living, I'm sorry.
No, that's a good motion.
This is the living document, it's gonna change every month.
Absolutely. Yes.
Historically, we just get the bank balances, what's in the bank. This is actually like what's going on with the budget.
Yes.
And
But it's still a high level enough that you can get into the weeds if we need to. So, wanted to roll that out to you guys, and thank you for that together.
Like the public gives us percentages.
That's
Not
a
just
little-
work.
Like the general fund, we've only used 67% of it for this fiscal year. Is that correct?
Of revenues, that's
Yeah.
what's come in, and then expenditures, we've only used 58%.
Right.
Okay. All right. Going through the reports. CRS summary. You also have your packet. And there at the bottom, there's 22,000 that's still outstanding there. Again, I kind of go back to some of the older money. This is like the newer stuff that's getting turned around a lot faster from the agencies. From the agency that's doing this. Citation location report. Chief, I'll let you address anything, kind of just go into your report as well. In relation to that.
Yeah, I don't have anything for the citation location, but on the chief report, I'll just mention a few things.
How good is our officer?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Glad you asked. Thank you for asking. She's doing great. She's doing much better. She was given an ambulance ride to the hospital in Northcrest, diagnosed with some chest bruising as well as some cervical sprains. She wasn't really able to turn her head left and right very easy. We think she popped it off and knocked it out the window. But she's doing great. She was seeing a doctor for a follow-up on Monday. She's been given the full go-ahead with no restrictions to come back to work. So starting, I believe, either Wednesday or Thursday, she'll be back to full swing, and she's doing great. If you don't know what happened, she was involved in an accident at the intersection of Highway 49 and 41A. We did review her dash camera. Her dash camera did show that the other subject failed to yield the right of way to her, and he turned left and smacked right into her. At a high rate of speed, he was trying to beat her or beat the light, and he just ran right into her. Essentially from that, vehicle is totaled. We are working with our insurance now. He did have insurance, so we're trying to figure out how much money we're going to get, the values and itemized costs, that kind of thing. I don't have concrete numbers yet, since it's very recent, very new, this just happened a week ago. So I'll get with the mayor and, kind of go from whenever I get those numbers. But the 2019 Tahoe is done, you'll never see a roadway again.
Wasn't it just the front end that was damaged to it?
It was not, sir, he hit the front end, spun around and hit her in the back end.
Okay.
So there's two
All I
points of
saw was the front
yeah.
fender part,
Right,
the driver's side.
There were 2 points of impact. The frame is completely bent. If you go out there, if you go out and stand in front of the M1 right now, you can see the car is shifted. The front right tire's out further than the back right tire. So I mean, he hit her with some force. I don't know if you saw the pictures of his car, but his car, I mean, the front of his car was almost up to the windshield. I mean, that's how hard it hit her. So, she had her seatbelt on. In the investigation, she honestly did nothing wrong. It was just wrong place, wrong time. And, it just had to be us that got hit.
Was she going home at that time or something?
She was on her way to the post office to send out paperwork for seizure. We seized the car, and she was on her way to do her paperwork. Airbags did not include. No airbag deployment on either vehicle. So she's doing good. She's ready to come back to work and do traffic stops to stop people from going to get her. She texted me the other day, she's like, I'm gonna come back with a fury of traffic stops. I'm like, I don't know, some people do it like that. But yeah, she's doing great. She's doing great. Thank you for asking, really appreciate that. Appreciate your continued support and prayers. Going over the monthly activity, I won't be as long as last month, obviously.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 41 incident reports, 11 traffic crashes. We had 23 arrests, a few were narcotic domestic related. We wrote 42 tickets, had a few crashes we responded to. A lot of those are assist highway patrol on either Tom Austin or I-24. A lot of those are I-24 assists. Typically on big crashes on I-24, they send one trooper, so they ask us a lot to come help them, especially direct traffic, with cars whizzing by them at 80 or 90 miles an hour. We had a couple vehicle searches for a little over 4.5 grams of marijuana, some drug paraphernalia. You can see the calls for service on the top right. A few driving on the road. We did have we're seeing a whole lot of driving without a license. Most, I would almost say 80 or 90% of our no driver's license are Hispanic drivers that are here working, that don't have a license or insurance on their vehicles. We did have a DUI, possession of drugs, obviously. We did have a DOA, we worked. No foul play, natural causes. Just a few domestics. And then the civic and vapid cases, we had 3 amongst the 2. That's pretty much it. Like I said, very, very minor. I just wanted to point out something else, too. We had an officer resign. Well, he put in his 2 weeks notice last week. He's finishing out his 2 weeks because he's got some time built up. He's moving back to Alabama, where he moved here from, to be with his family. So we're losing that. I can also go on the record and say that Lieutenant Trooper Hickman is going to be leaving my agency. So he is moving to California, where he came from. So I expect him, he went through all of his pre-employment in California, the same department he left last week. He was on vacation up there. So I expect him to be done around mid-March. So I'm gonna have a few openings, one of those being a CID. So we're losing an officer on patrol, we're also losing our second command and our lead detective all in the same month. So got a lot going on, needless to say. So bear with us, as we're gonna be limited on manpower. Our primary focus is answering our calls and taking back wagons to jail who commit crime in our city. Secondary goal is traffic enforcement. We will get out there. I know you guys hear from your people all the time that go to Virginia, that there's a lot of traffic issues. I promise you we're out there doing it, but that's secondary to our primary focus. But we are doing it. Quality Inn had 14 cars broken into, I don't remember, Saturday or Sunday over the weekend. They had a couple were unlocked, a couple were smash and grab, one firearm was taken from the vehicle. They also hit Hampton Inn. They hit 15 or 20 cars over in Pleasant View. They started in Nashville and just worked their way down I-24 all the way to Clarksville. So we're working multi-jurisdictional. We've got LPRs on Metro. We've got Hampton Inn has a LPR, so we've got some footage. So we know the car, we know the owner of the car, but the owner of the car is not the one committing the crime. So we're trying to figure out that. So we are working with Metro Police because they're probably our biggest help as far as finding people like that. So other than that, it's pretty much all I have for the immediacy.
Do you follow, there's a Facebook page, I can't find it right now, but PLEA, I think.
Yeah, we're on that group.
Okay, because the last few days they've blown up of, who's hiring, asking. who's
Yes,
hiring.
we've received one application. I will tell you this, a lot of applications we received, we don't necessarily want to do, just to be quite honest with you. We did receive a application. He is a former Gallatin officer. He was terminated from Gallatin. He explained to us why. So we're going to entertain, obviously, the interview, but it's slim pickings. A lot of people are staying where they're at because, I mean, the pay is decent. They got a decent benefits package and perks. So it's it's hard to find certified officers to come to our agency. Uncertified, from the time I hired, like, Pegwood, when we hired him in November, I just got word yesterday, after many of conversations, he was scheduled to go to the academy in July. After many conversations and help from other people, we were able to get him into the March academy, so he's going in March.
Now, is he leaving? Hickman.
Lieutenant Hickman is leaving.
So why do we want to put that?
Pegwood.
Yeah, it's different.
Oh, it's a different officer, okay.
Yeah, Officer Hegwood's the
He's
uncertified.
certified.
Heg will be going to the academy in March, and then Hickman will probably be leaving mid-March. It's March 30th, so it's the end of March when he goes off to the academy. Our goal, obviously, is to hire already certified because it's a lot easier. They're already certified A. There's only a 6-week FTO program, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what you do. Uncertified, my goodness, it's a waiting period. Now, we do what we can to prepare them, right? They just don't show up to work with a paycheck. We put them through the ringer to get them prepared for the police academy. They go off for 12 weeks and then they come back and do a 16-week FTO program. Because it's not one of those jobs you just throw a badge and gun on somebody and say go to work. You can't if you want a bunch of lawsuits.
That's why I would stay away. That's why I would stay away from hiring somebody where another department doesn't go.
I understand. Yeah. We vet them. We have a new hiring practice and a new hiring standard versus what we did just a few years ago. So we're actually coming up with a testing phase, a written test, a physical test. So we're actually revamping our hiring practices as we speak. So hopefully those will be out in the next few months.
Well, law enforcement's not anything like it used to be. You get let go now for.
Right. We hear.
Looking sideways at somebody.
We hear. I'll listen to both sides. But you're right. You say a cuss word international, they'll let you go. All you did is say the F word to somebody.
Light a cigarette in your patrol car, smoke a cigarette in your fire.
Yeah. So we like to hear their side of the story. We like to hear that the departments. We like to hear theirs. And that usually comes out in the first interview. And if it's something that we're like, hey, we're not interested in, they don't give us something. But limited manpower, please bear with us. You're obviously going to see some smaller numbers as far as traffic citations and traffic enforcement is concerned, because I'm losing 2 officers at pretty much at the same time. So.
Now, how long have these been with us?
Troy would have been here. He's been here a year and a half. Lieutenant Hickman, maybe a little shy of a year and a half. April 1st would have been 1 year. So they've.
So they get a bonus from the RN if they're supposed to stay so long a period. So what is that period?
Yeah, so there's two grants. So if you come in certified, you get a $3,500 sign-on bonus. You get half, essentially, pretty much right then, right? You get half, and then you get the other half within the completion of 12 months. But they do sign a contract to, if they leave, they pay it back, and it's 2 years. Neither one of the officers that came with our department that's leaving right now received that sign-on bonus, because I had to send them to training from out of state. So they did not, neither one of those got the sign-on bonus.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Move on to the street department report.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to add? I would like to talk a But
Let's say Matt's here.
if you have a visitor that I'd like to hear from,
So last, when Becca was in, we spoke about doing a salt bin. And Randall, you asked for a price.
Yep.
And Matt's here to give an overview of what that was entail.
Got 5 copies. And you all can, I don't expect you to be able to speed read anything, I'll give you a quick note version of it. Mr. Rhodes, asked me and Becky to, put together for a salt storage building. I served on the planning commission for about 9 years with Cooper Town. I am a licensed engineer, licensed surveyor, and I was eager to help. I work from a John's use standpoint backwards with the budget, and then try to figure out what solution, and then those costs are real costs. You can see the assumptions there. So I'm not putting together my own estimate. I'm getting real costs from different entities through Sunbelt rental equipment, Oregon Concrete. If you look at the 3rd page, that's a picture of the structure that I ended up landing upon. I'm at preliminary design, got a cost estimate. I know John has a sort of a cost benefit analysis as to, but in a nutshell, you're talking about $50,000. And that's doing it in 3 phases. If this were to go out to a regular design bid build contract, you're talking $150,000. So within the budget that Mr. Rhodes gave me, $50,000, that's what I was able to come up with a solution. It's 24 foot by 30 foot. It could store 105 tons of salt with the annual repost calculation estimate I did. I think with the 3
How many
phases,
tons? I'm sorry.
105 tons of salt. I know right now we're buying bag salt, so my understanding is, hopefully a target for a November, completion. But respect what you all do for the town and balancing the budget, balancing the needs of us citizens. So I'm at the point where I'll wait to hear, certainly look at it. If you have questions or concerns, you can let them know John, and he'll communicate with me.
Matt, this has a salt top on it, correct?
Yes, sir. It's a 25-year warranty fabric.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fixing to ask that question. What's the lifespan of that vinyl?
Yeah.
And the blocks will come from Oregon, right next to Raymore Road on Joey Allen.
Well, those are only 3 block high.
Yeah, so actually, those are 2-foot height blocks. That's a sample structure. This structure would be the 3-foot by 3-foot by 6-foot blocks from Oregon Concrete, and we have 2 rows, so it would be the same height. That 3-row 2-foot depth blocks will have 2 rows of 3-foot depth blocks. So that 6-foot, if you look at that last page there, it shows, so that 6-foot would go on the bottom of each left and right side of that double cord truss. It's a hot dip galvanized, post galvanized. I understand the procurement requirements. We have to get quotes on a couple of these parts, the concrete pad contractor and the superstructure. But you can see a couple $0 line items, that's with leaning on the street department labor where feasible, for hauling gravel, I believe, for actually erecting the structure. But the main thing is to keep the costs down, it also helped with phasing it. So the first phase being level the site, and build up with gravel compaction and 6-inch concrete slab, a little bit larger than the building because of a couple of concrete anchor blocks. That's the concrete contractor, and the gravel cost at the bulk rate that Mr. Rhodes shared with me. The second phase being the foundation, which I designed and stamped those from a code standpoint, with the block structure, the anchors of the superstructure to the foundation, and then really using the weight of the blocks. They're 8,000 pound it's one open end, as you saw in that picture. And I'm looking for, from my standpoint, assisted with the foundation design, the planning, coordination, and then, I'm willing to do, any construction stakeout oversight. I put down, about $2,000. I just saw the $2,000 on a $4,000, temporary repair. I'm interested in just helping, if that's something you all decide to do.
So the price that we spent on these last events, or this last event, was roughly $6,800, somewhere in there,
For salt?
for salt alone.
That was just the last time, right?
Just this last time, that was 18 pallets of salt.
Right, do you have the one from 1st of January? We had 2 events in January.
Right.
One in January, one in February.
And that one we used, I wanna say 9 pallets of salt. So, what the cost of this last event would have cost with bulk salt delivered here and dumped in that salt bin would have been $2,000 worth of salt.
Instead of what, 68?
Instead of like $6,800.
So,
Right, so,
That's only just the last event alone.
so if we plan for 2 events to happen every year and prices never change, they never go up, which they've gone up since the last time I bought salt, by 10 cents. But price will continue, they continue to stay the way they are, within 10 years, we'll say right at $50,000. Probably not.
I think you're fine. I don't think.
Yeah.
So.
Just in savings, I mean, if we have 3 events, your time is cut down.
So it sounds like with that second event, you're talking about $5,000 saved. So for 2 events a year, you're talking about $10,000. So in about 5 years,
That's what I'm saying.
if you're gonna
5
be,
years, ROI is easily 5 years. And we're not counting the cost of the labor as well.
No.
I mean, you're handling every one of these bags, you're stacking the bags, you're filling the hoppers with bags instead of using a scoop. You gotta count your labor hours in there as far as your recoup.
Safety issues, all that.
exactly.
how many tons of salt did you use this last event? You said how many pallets on it, I don't know how many tons. If this building here hold 105 tons, that gives us something to look at on how full you need to keep the building.
See, it was 49 bags times 50 is 2450, and then times that by 18 pallets, that's 44,000 pounds, divided that by 2,000, so 22.05 tons.
That's just the last time.
That's just this last time. So 105 tons ought to get us through a pretty
So if
bad layer.
we had this bin half full, then you think that would be enough to get us through another
60 tons.
instead of 105?
Be 3 really good events. I mean, this last one, we were putting salt down, and it was so cold at midnight, and trying to scrape it off, it wasn't doing a whole lot.
One thing
Salt in the bin don't heat nothing either, so you can more than half full.
Carries over.
Right.
Yeah, and I did go look at the Pleasant View salt shed, which was steel, and it's a dilapidated mess, really. They even tried to put plywood up on the inside, put lipstick on it, pig a little bit. I don't know what they're gonna do with the new building, maybe they're gonna get something right, but anyways, I think, the way I looked at it was to make sure that a loaded truck could actually come in on a 10-foot concrete apron and be able to back in there and clear, with at least 3-foot clearance, so that, and, you can put a couple half blocks in the way to make sure they're backing up in the right spot for the arch to get that safety factor, and otherwise they're hitting the concrete blocks in the bottom, so they're not running into the edge of it. But, I wanted to make sure that there wasn't extra labor time there is gonna be some, they can only, but they can get back in there, they can go all the way back in there and dump. There is gonna be a little bit of moving around, but there's not as much of dumping out front, loader scooping it in, loader.
So you're saying a big truck, a load of salt, come back into
Yes.
this structure and
Dump.
raise this bed all the way up and
Yes, sir.
What about that steel, the galvanized
This
steel?
is HD6, I think, galvanized, it's one of the last.
Galvanized one, it's gonna be.
Right, I see it's heavy, I'm just asking
Yeah, it's-
how many years.
The corrosion.
So they're at a 25-year building. That I would imagine, it's post galvanized after all their welds and such, which is what you want. I did look at, over by by me, by Douglas is there, the big nursery and such, they have a couple of these bigger ones, smaller ones, they're not engineered structures. You know, they're held up, but they're not engineered structures, they're galvanized, they're not post galvanized, you know, they're not holding salt though. You know? But, yeah, and, so that cost I've got for the 24,000, I revisited it after some of these tariffs because the supplier I based the cost off of, Greystone Construction, Great Span Buildings, they source their steel, galvanized steel out of Canada, so we've got some tariffs. I think by the time we get to that third phase, some of that'll wash out with these Canadian tariffs, but I did hedge, an extra $1,000 on top of their actual quote I have a copy of with the to information. I just wanted to give you all a 30,000-foot view of it, from a planning standpoint.
Appreciate you putting that together for us.
Well, Matt, is this price, let me come back and ask you this, I know you said a lot of it with the street department doing the labor. Did you figure any of this without the street department doing the labor? Because, they can probably only stretch the tarp out or the sheet out over it, do you think they can put the blocks up, or is that something?
So, yes, sir, so good question. Under the foundation of phase 2 on the first page, the foundation is, the cost for the blocks from Oregon Concrete, that's at the plant, has to be picked up. I got the haul costs on a low boy to get 5 miles from Oregon Concrete down here to City Hall. That's the haul, and then crane rental, I base it off Maxim and Quip. That's their crane rental. But that price, and I got the price from, what did I write in the assumptions? Brown Cliff, I think it was the name, out of Springfield. So I think, you know, that cost for them to offset each load, 6 blocks at a time, there'll be 6 loads, and then the cranes up here for an 8-hour day, offloading and setting in place. The labor for the town is, if they want to do the gravel from the Vulcan price to haul in the dump trailer, or we can pay extra. But right there in phase 1, $0, that's the town hauling the gravel to the site. The only other thing they're doing is using the rented equipment from Sunbelt in phase 3 to erect the structure. So the structure comes as a pre-engineered package, and then I talk to the manufacturer, which may end up being the low bid based off what I've researched. And they have a whole installation manual and everything, and I'm talking with John, you know, that's something that they can accomplish. I made sure that the pricing for the rental is the actual 2 pieces that they need with the proper capacity to erect that structure. So the 2 portions for there, I didn't estimate the amount of time for their labor, but the 2 portions are them hauling gravel from Vulcan Quarry to the site as number 1 in phase 1, and then in phase 3 for the superstructure, erecting the structure.
Is this structure such that a layman could install? No offense to John's team, but can a layman put this structure up?
Yes, sir, and that's why I did put some construction oversight from my standpoint.
Okay.
In my soft cost there at the end. For that reason, just to make sure.
Okay.
I'm interested in the whole thing working like I tried to plan.
Right.
There's things that come up, you know, it's not all on paper. When you get it, you know, an install manual, it's not, you know, it's great, certainly, but, anyway.
On the concrete floor,
Yes, sir.
I'm trying concrete slab.
Yes, sir.
That's 12.3, that's its cost today, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who is that? That's just the concrete, so we got good labor to do that.
But no, that is all, that price, I have a verbal cost estimate for that of 11.5. I bumped it up to 12.3, just to hedge based on, you know, some delay and maybe a potential increase there, but that's for them leveling the gravel that would be dumped to your
We would level the gravel, but who's gonna?
No, they would level, this
Oh,
contractor would
this
level it,
contractor
compact.
would level the gravel,
Yes, sir.
compact it, and pour the concrete.
Yes, sir. And a lot of times those contractors prefer that, we do the concrete, they don't, do that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
couple options. I know with the phasing that he's done there, you know, from the cost standpoint, you know, it's possible this could fall over 2 fiscal years, maybe part this year, part next year. Budgeted accordingly. So if you phased it, did, you know, I'm just gonna use these numbers, 25,000 in this fiscal year, and then budget in 25,000 into next fiscal year. So kind of easy burden between the 2 years, and get this, and still have this thing moving along. I don't know how that works from a voting or anything of that nature, but, if that's what direction we want to go. I mean, my opinion is the payback is probably 5 years plus or minus. I don't think it'll be 10 years, but, and the safety issue and everything else, I would like to get this moving, but I understand if we need to.
What's our budget for street fund?
I saw the street aid, but I don't think it's the same.
So the street, explain this, the street aid is gonna be more of your, the street, the actual road. The street
Okay.
department is gonna be part of the general fund.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But they have their own budget.
Yes.
What number is in their budget, do we know?
I can even hand it to you.
Okay.
On the street aid fund,
No.
No, this will be through the general.
They're still coming out of the general. Right, that's what I'm saying, what is their budget this year? And what do we see coming down the road within that budget that'll use the dollars? That's what I'd like to know.
I can even hand it to you.
thank
Thank you.
And that's why I think splitting it between the 2 years is a good potential. Okay.
I got an additional question, John, how many labor hours did you have doing the streets during this last year?
For the last minute, we sprayed salt for 12 hours straight, or no, for 16 hours straight. I came in at midnight, worked till 8:30, and then had my other guys come in, had 2 other guys come in at 6, and they continued on until 2:30. That's there again, the first bad part of it, and then what happened again the next day, we were out salting again for another 8 hours. So,
And where I'm going with that is, last month, I think we presented kind of giving another, blade on the truck that we put on now, and that was in half, if we had 2 trucks or whatever.
yeah, we just knocked out twice as fast as we did.
And how long will it take us to recover that? We talked about this year, but if we cut our labor hours in
Well,
half.
you're looking at your man hours, you know, big cut, just on handling the salt, that's it.
Well, the salt box and the blade, what about 25K?
For the truck,
That,
12 months.
I thought just the salt box.
It was for the blade and box was 12 months.
Blade and box is
But you had to go to Kentucky to get it.
Right. So if blade and box is 12, and you're paying a man double time, let's just say $40 an hour.
We don't do that.
Well, we're just using round numbers. Let's just say $40 an hour, which is way out there. $40 an hour times the 16, it's only $400. So we would have to, if we had 3 men, we're looking at $1,200. So the ROI, put another blade on there, is gonna take us at least 10 events, and we have 2 a year.
I think more of my concern with having only one truck is if
Something breaks down.
if that Dodge throws a rock, then it's not gonna work.
I don't think we look at labor hours to try to recoup it.
I think it's just
That's more as a backup, that was the
Yeah.
intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, from a budget point of view, depending on how this plays out, I mean, this was in the conversation, but then when we started talking phasing and doing different things, and plus the price being what it is, it all kind of goes into the whole kitty. But I mean, I think I would rather, if we're gonna talk about this as a bundle, let's get the numbers. And if we can do a blade as a backup, that's fine. I think focusing on this might be the better thing right now. Absolutely.
I agree.
I appreciate you raising the question.
Since we're talking about the blade, you said the salt buggy and the blade was 12,000, right?
Right around 12.
So would you want wanna spend another, this is down the road, this is thinking out loud, would you wanna spend another 12,000 to get the salt dug and a blade, and have 2 trucks moving it, or do we have the truck that can handle the blade?
We have one truck, or we have 2 trucks that can handle the blade, but we have one equipped right now to actually operate it, because it has to be hardwired to the truck, and so. We have,
If we have the funds, I'm open to entertaining the money back. I really would, because I think there's good value in having the backup. And if it's a bad storm, these haven't been mild in some sense. If you have a really bad storm, having 2 trucks out may be a good thing. If one goes down, it's gonna be an issue.
people really enjoy, 99% of the people really enjoy being able to get out of their house.
And you get to work, it's safety
Yeah.
issues, all that
So, I think if there was an event that happened and it didn't get done again, we would catch a lot of heat for that. So I think it'd be advantageous to be on top of
But
it.
this is a good long-term investment in whatever we decide. So, do we want to get the number and then let's push this next month and let's discuss it and maybe take a vote and figure this out?
Well, to the next month.
Thank you again for doing that.
You're speaking of getting on the agenda next month for the building,
Just the numbers, the line item.
just the numbers for the
Discuss
building,
numbers.
the numbers for the blade.
Yeah, well, I want salt usage numbers, how much is that? I'd like to have labor numbers, how much have we used? I'd like to get an estimate from street department on how much time they spent loading it, how much time have you spent unloading it? So we have a true number, this is what it's costing us now versus what it could cost us.
And how much time you spent grading it.
So we can get a true evaluation. I think.
Oh,
And then if those, do you want to, assuming they play out, do you want to get this as a vote next month as well as get it moving? Because that puts us into March.
Well, we have to look at the budget first. We have to look at-
Assuming the budget, I agree with you.
We have to look at their budget numbers, in my opinion. To see
Oh, I agree, I don't want to
Yeah.
do anything about the budget things, able to take care of it, whether we split the
Right,
year,
right.
that's, but I mean, I don't want price changes either, if it's something we decide to do, either we vote on it in March or we vote on it in April, I guess it's a month apart, but.
If you email us the numbers, we have the numbers, but like we can have a discussion next month and maybe vote next month if we decide it. If it's on the agenda. If we already get the numbers.
But you just want this to be the discussion around the numbers?
Well, I'm halfway over here.
Okay.
I would like to, this continue next month.
I'm with you, I'd like to have all the numbers where we can discuss it, not necessarily a vote, and we can think about what we wanna do, whether we actually wanna go through and get another blade out.
I mean, we're
salt lady, or put more emphasis on building the building to save the labor cost and the salt cost.
Yeah, we're in March right now, we've got, Matt, what are we talking, delivery on, if we went to the building, what's delivery on that structure?
It's 4 months, 3.5 month lead time, that's the phase 3s, but, I would recommend doing it in the summer months when it's dry for the building pad, phase 1, and then, your phase 2 concrete blocks, that could be whenever towards, August sometime, and then, but we'd have to know, if you wanna get this in before a potential first storm event, let's say in late November, December, you subtract 4 months.
Yeah.
So,
And I gotta have the order in, if we're gonna have it filled with bulk salt, order has to be in by Wednesday of October.
I almost don't see it going up this year. I think that's pushing, time to get through all the budget. Until we look at numbers next month is March, then we're April, and then you're 4 months from April before we figure about it.
So you gotta see what the budget looks like, and that's it, the last June, July,
Yeah.
you're looking at, for the new year's start.
That's why I was wondering how much money's left in the budget.
Well, and here's the assumption, assuming we have the availability for half of it this year, I'm making the assumption we should have, in the new budget, we're gonna have a very similar room in there to do the rest of it. So that's the assumption I'm good.
That's why I like to know how much money they have left in their budget versus how much, any more expenditures they may have. It's the next 4 months, 5 months.
Do we have the sign out here on like
It'd be
where
right,
it would need to be put?
it'd be right next to the little wooden shed next to the fuel tank.
We need the little wooden shed anymore.
And we're storing some stuff in it. I mean, Chief's got some stuff in it, I got a few things in it. So, I mean, there's,
Oh, I got one thing from the phasing standpoint, and what you're talking about with if your fiscal year runs through June 30th, I think it makes sense for like a phase 1, phase 2, if you can authorize that before the June 30th, whether you do that over the next month or two. And then as long as that phase 3 purchase order is in for that superstructure order in July, you know, for the beginning of that next fiscal year, you know, as long as it's in before the end of July, you'll have the building delivered. You know, it's gonna take a little bit of time to erect it. But I think it works from a fiscal year split standpoint, because that phase 3 is the second half of the cost. But that could be in the July standpoint for the 3.5, 4 month lead time to be able to be there and
Still
erect
be
it
November time.
and be ready for this winter.
Do you have to have the salt ordered in and said by October? Is that the total amount of salt that you're gonna turn in? So what if you run out and you won't be able to get any more salt delivered?
right, that's why the building's as big as it is.
Okay.
And if you don't have it in by October, you can still put your order in, but then there will be no guarantee of actual delivery. So,
If we break it, use what's left in the budget this year, in July, there's more budget coming back up again, then he can place the order in October, because it'll be probably finished by November, or December. He would know if he could place the order or not.
Yeah.
It's August.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering, was you place an order for so much, then later on, if you see you're gonna run out, place another order, would you get that salt in the time?
Do we have any backup last year?
I still have, I want to say it's 4 pallets, 6 pallets.
6 pallets, that goes to the first time?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I don't wanna order more. I talked to Jeff about that this afternoon, I don't wanna order more. We're gonna keep it on the way, because it takes roughly a week, maybe 2 weeks to get, so we keep 10 days out and hope to get more if we need it, but I don't wanna buy $3,600 worth of salt again.
No, you would save the money and lose some.
How many pounds do you have left over on salt?
About 4 or 6, I think it was.
And just another question, order of priorities for the year. So would this structure be your number first priority or your backup truck? I mean, like your,
I'd say the building would probably be top of the priority. Just in savings, I mean, 'cause you can pay for another salt blade or blade and salt spreader off the savings alone. So,
I just want to hear what your order
it all kind of ties
priorities
together.
would be for the year.
Okay, we'll,
Thank you, Matt, that's very good.
do that next month, get some information out there better, so appreciate the time on that. All right.
I want to take time to thank you, getting out and cleaning some ditches out there while the water was rushing down Woods Road. He got out, paid out some ditches and hopefully covered up, and after he did that, there was not any more water on the road. So he got out and did a lot of work, other than clearing stone and stuff, he also does other things.
He came on my little road and helped with a roof ball that is gonna probably wash that bridge out again that I'm on that little road, so I do appreciate that as well.
Thank you for your help in that.
It's a team effort.
Well, that's one thing this spring and summer that even before we kind of get into the bigger stuff on it is, getting some of these ditches cleaned out. I know there's been some other spots that they've done some debris removal and things, so that's gonna be important obviously for the long-term benefit of the road as well. There is some local ditches down there. Do appreciate that, absolutely. The fire department, the report is in here. I did send you guys the revised draft of the briefly about it if you'd like. You know, it's proposing out to a 5-year contract with a 3% increase, built in every year with a caveat that if in any over a 2-year period, the rate of inflation exceeds that 1.5%, then you come back to the table to discuss the next year's rate. I'm okay with that. It kind of, from a budgeting point of view, it gives you a 5-year kind of runway on that, and then you have a little bit of room if inflation is starting to creep up to begin planning and having discussions. It does allow in there this time for if we buy assets, like another fire station or something, if that were to happen again. Unlike the one we currently have, if we ever terminated the contract, we'd have to purchase it from them. The new one would not be owned that way. So it would be owned by the town on the front end, and it would be ours if that were to terminate. So those are the biggest changes in there. Originally we were talking about a 1-year contract. Traditionally it's been a 3-year contract, and now we're looking for a 5-year. You do have your 3-month out, you know, if you decide to terminate the contract as well. So I need to get an answer back to him. I can invite him in March. I'm very open to that, to do a working session with him for an hour or something, and have him discuss that contract or discuss in general. So we can do that. If we do, we'll probably later in March, we can make it first week of April. Get a little tight on scheduling. But what are your guys' thoughts at this point on what I said?
I looked at what you sent, and there's nothing in it unreasonable.
Okay.
And I personally like the 5-year if it locks you in as well.
What does it lock in, if it equates at 3%? Unless inflation goes up, you have an additional 1.5 on top of it, so the contract is there, they can terminate it just like we can terminate it, you know, with just a written notice.
But we don't have to renegotiate a contract if we stay with it.
Correct. Granted.
Right.
I'll agree.
3% increase is not unreasonable.
Let it 2%. 2%, and each year it gets, the dollar get a little bit more expensive each year because the amount is already higher, and you go back on 2% on 200,000, 220,000, as it raises up, so 3%, it's going to increase a lot here.
On the 5th year, 3% in the first year.
Yeah, that
Compounded numbers.
That table was in 1%.
Yeah.
That increases quite a bit with that number. And then you talk about a new station, and they're going to build it.
They're not proposing it. That's just, it's in there if that were to ever happen. So that's not saying they're asking for a new fire station. Not at all. It's, hey, because one of the concerns was that I've heard was, okay, like, when we terminate now, we gotta buy the station back.
Correct.
And we paid in, right? So now it's kind of split.
Well, we have never paid on the station.
Right, but it's built into the overall cost structure in theory. Because somebody's paid for that building at some point and maintained it, right?
Well, they are. Now, they might be taking some of our money.
That's my point. Yeah. So if we agreed to put another fire station in town, then it's going to be a conversation of, okay, we're going to own the fire station. Now, we want them to own it and maintain it. And we always got to remember that if we get out of a contract ever, then we're going to have to buy that fire station, just like that existed. Versus if we go under the new contract and split, it's going to be harder for them to say, we want to put a fire station there, we're going to raise your fees for it. Okay. If we have to build a fire station of our own, yes, we're going to have to figure out how to pay for it. And one of the things that we've been talking about in the future budgets is we are going to start having to build in a CapEx fee into there to ourselves, basically, so that we can have these things kind of built in long term, whether it's a fire truck or something ever again that we want to share cost with. You know, we got 2 more payments on the existing fire truck, so that's $70,000 a year. So we just continue making a payment to ourselves over time build up a fund of our own. So when if we ever have to build a fire station or go and these larger items, we have some capital already set aside. That's really the goal.
That's if we have to do that.
That's it, that's not a mandate under the contract,
We're
that is not written, yes.
We're not planning on building one, we're not planning on.
There's no requirement to do anything. The issue there was, if we ever did it again, we're not back into where we gotta buy it back from them if we ever run into it. That was the issue. And I thought that was a concern from what I've heard in the past, but we don't really own that property. So,
I don't know if I'm allowed to comment. One question I would have is, if they have a stipulation in there about if the inflation goes up, then they have an ability within a 2-year window. To me, it's a two-way street. What is it? Is it fair to have, if it goes down, can you all come to the table? You know, I'm just saying, because.
That's a great question.
Where
I'm
we're
not
at
sure
now.
that'll ever happen, but I like it.
I don't
I
know.
was thinking the same thing. That's something we can.
Yeah, I'll ask you.
You can ask them.
To me, I'm used to construction contracts. I mean, it's usually a two-way street, but, that's all.
Good point, Larry. Thank you.
Find out on that. Other than that, at the over high level of the contract, is there any other hot points? Well, there'll be more to come on that point, but, I'll ask them the deflation clause. All right, brings us to communication from the Alderman, City Attorney, and Community Reports. City Attorney's not here, I don't have anything from him. Any comments from the Alderman?
Alderman Anderson made a comment during our planning meeting on the location 13. And, he says, what is Coopertown's enemy? Who is Coopertown? Coopertown has changed. You know, and I go back, I don't mean to rehash things, but I go back to the tree that me and my boys all took turns rolling, as did most teams in this community. I go to our ball fields that the community built, paid for, sweated over, that were named in honor of men who sacrificed for our youth to get these fields up. Bulldozed. Still nothing replacing it. How long's it been now? 6 years? Still nothing replacing it. Trees that we planted for children who died at the school, remembrance trees with plaques placed on them, bulldozed. Not an effort made to transplant the trees either. And they weren't too big to transplant, but no effort was even made. I look at what's happening to our community, you know, and I know we've had a lot of turmoil with sledding on Wilson Hill. I was one of those who walked 2 to 2.5 hours one way to sled on Wilson Hill with the other 30 to 50 people who were there sledding on Wilson Hill. And I know that things are changing and those types of things are going away. And we use the word community. We are not a community. If you look up Webster's definition of community, it's a group of people with the same goals and aspirations. Pulling together. We are not community. I look at this resolution and highlighted, retain the rural integrity of Coopertown. Maintain the heritage of Coopertown. In what ways are we doing this? What ways are we maintaining who Coopertown is, what we always have been? I don't begrudge a contractor making a living. They have a right to make a living just like any of us do.
At the same time, unless that contractor or that developer lives in Coopertown, what value do they bring to Coopertown when they come in, build homes, get paid, and leave? What value do they bring to our community? I'm sure some of you've heard the term, once illegal, always illegal. And some of you never heard that, I'm sure. But once illegal, always illegal used to mean something. No matter where you went, if you came through Coopertown schools, you were illegal. I don't care if you went to Devils, Jackets, Bobcats, it didn't matter. You were an eagle. You were part of this community. And we always stood together as a community. How many of us have gone to a Coopertown sporting event? Football, soccer, baseball, volleyball, we've got them all here. How many of us, hang on, let me finish. How many of us have gone, even if you didn't know anybody playing, because you were there to support the community? How many of us have done that? We talk about our community development, our Easter egg hunt. How many comments have you had on the post that you put on?
As of December, we have 10.
10.
And no volunteers.
0 volunteers. I'm on the community development committee. We have the same 5 people come to every meeting. Nobody wants to volunteer. That's part of the community. Nobody wants to be a part of the community. And going back to what Robert Dale said, who is Coopertown? What are we? Who are we? And that's bothering me.
Like the Barrel Festival was sort of another example of, I think, of how we had, and then same people, and it fell off, perhaps, what I noticed.
Matt, last year, which I took the Barrel Festival on, we had 2 volunteers. It takes 50 people to put the Barrel Festival on. We had 2. We can't put it on.
Well, you're speaking also of the schools. Look at what the Board of Education has done to our community schools. We don't have that anymore. Used to, you had Coopertown and the community supported them, and they sent great students on to other schools.
We had a 15-year stretch where the valedictorian or the salutatorian came to Coopertown for 15 years.
We were a blue ribbon school when they put this middle schools around here. What did the Board of Education do? They removed that principal because he had built such a good school and reputation, and put him at Springfield School where they had a split of different minorities. You had Mexicans, whites, and blacks. It was all split. They thought he was going to make them a blue ribbon school, and it never happened. You have East Robertson, they are a community school, like Red was talking about. Those people get out there and they support their school. Joe Burns supports their school. Greenbar supports their school. But who's Coopertown got to support? Now, we don't even have a high school. So it has all changed since we came up after the school got built, and then they started sending the kids out here and moving our kids from here to other places. So we actually don't have a community anymore that wants to pull together and go to these things. So you're exactly right on that.
Yeah, forgive me for what I'm about to say, but I feel like it needs to be said to say. We host, as a police department, 8 events a year. How many of you have paid for my event? See the problem? It starts with you guys. You guys gotta do it first before you expect them to do it. I mean, come on. We have 8 events, and 2 of you didn't just raise your hand. We invite you to everything. Our touch and truck, our shop with the cop, we invite you to everything. And you don't show up, guys. You don't show up for us. Why do you think everybody show up for you?
I had that school now, so look,
you know what I'm saying? You don't show up for us, so then why in the world would they show up for you? You can't even support your police department.
They're not showing up for us. They're not showing up for us, Chief.
You don't, but you understand where I'm coming from. You're talking about community. Your community police put on community events that the alderman will not even go to.
All right, so what I'm supposed to do is, instead of going trick or treating with my grandchildren, I'm supposed to come to Coopertown trick or treating.
Sir,
Is that what you're saying?
We have 8 events.
I've been to your touch trucks with my grandkids. So, I don't have a Jeep.
Okay.
I don't have a
You can show them
motorcycle.
support. Support. That's all we're asking.
So I think part of the bigger issue is, as well, society, right? It's not just here, it's in other neighborhoods, other communities across the country, you know? The younger generation doesn't see quite the value in getting involved in clubs and different things anymore. Families are busy. You guys are right, I mean, and this is one of the things, you know, even when the election cycle is, our own neighborhoods are all somewhat disconnected, right? You know, Oak Point does their thing, Pebblebrook does their thing, everybody does their own thing, and as a big town, we don't kind of come together. Now, how do you fix that? I don't know that answer necessarily, other than you try to, you know, get these events together, and that's why, you know, we did the survey, you know, hey, you know, it's not so much just trying to, first off, the town and the community development committee doesn't need to invest all of their own time when nobody shows up, okay? But it also raises the issue, how many people do really want to go to things? How many do want to invest in their time? Did you have a comment?
I just wanna say, I think the community development needs to get involved with the churches, the other civic organizations like the Town's Men's Club, and thusly all talk together to improve the community.
Absolutely, I think it's gonna be,
Well, for the children golf, we did reach out to the men's club, and only Bob Kraus showed up.
But I will put this to this is my personal point of view. Things like that should not be from the city. It should be from the community, a chamber of commerce. Not the city, not the police department. It should be the churches, the,
on a personal level, I agree with you, however, I do believe there should be some connection.
right, so I would love to see the community development turn more into a chamber of commerce to organize that kind of stuff.
Let me say this, to Jeff, kudos to Jeff. Jeff
He is doing great.
has reached out to the churches, and each month now, we're gonna have a different pastor or preacher from a church come in and open us with a prayer meeting. We started that last month. My pastor, who we're gonna be building right over on 431 next to Rhonda's, went back to the church the following Sunday and told them that he had the honor to come here and open the meeting with prayer. So he took us back to that community church. And we had a preacher from Church of Christ in here tonight.
Yes.
So hopefully he'll do the same thing. But that part, Jeff's trying to get the community
Yes,
involved.
I appreciate what all he's doing, getting on Facebook, communicating to the city and.
Well, Cooktown's always been unique in its situation because we had 3 communities here. We had Mount Sharon, Martin's Chapel, and Cooktown. But they all came out to support whatever these kids were doing in their schools. Now the schools, or the kids have all been moved to different places now. They're coming in from different places. So it's hard to get someone to come in and help support like we used to. Like I said, we don't even have a high school, so these kids can't even stay here in their own community. They go to the high school, but every other corner in this county has a high school.
So,
Was this school not supposed to build back ball fields once it was completed? At the elementary
Yes,
school?
they were.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
the budget they allowed is this much, and it takes this much to build it.
I was on the planning commission when we reviewed the site plan for that, building school addition and renovation project, and the ball field was there. So they took 2 community and the concession and the playground.
That's right.
And we're supposed to put 1 back, and, I've been working with the Coopertown Athletic Association, even though Mr. Wendell White stepped down from that, to continue to hold the school board and the new superintendent now. We did get them to finally get over the cuff with their $1 million budget that they had for it, to reinstate half of what they took out. Unfortunately, last minute before that was approved, they moved the location from where it was supposed to go with planning commission approved site plan at the elementary, moved it to the middle school, which I understood, talking to Scott Rice, who I've worked through with the Coopertown Athletic Association. I understood, if it meant we could actually get ball field, then mine pivoted to, then the Coopertown Athletic Association wants to have a mutual use agreement, not some second fiddle use, because even though I have kids in the elementary school, but for me, it's a sense of community, and baseball, softball is something that we can salvage.
Well, let me ask you this, since I know about, talking about building a ball field over at the middle school, didn't they say that we could not use the softball or the baseball field?
The current building
They,
cannot.
they will not let these kids use those fields that we paid for.
So to your, unless they've changed, what they told me after I got elected was they would entertain a joint use agreement with the club. So is that, have they still agreed to do that?
That's still, and I'm pressing.
That's separate from what you're asking?
That's the new field.
On the new field?
Right, with the new location, then they found out that they had to get it approved back through Coopertown because they changed the location and they complained about that, but that was part of their decision, and I understand maybe that was the only way to get it approved by the board for that money that they had budgeted. And then, Five Star, I think it's 5 Star Construction that's assembling that steel structure there across from where the catfish house used to be, you know, that same contractor is, after they get that complete, they're coming over to construct the middle school. So I've been working through Scott Rice, our local, school board rep for that, but I'm still on that mutual use agreement, for the standpoint of the Coopertown Athletic Association, because that's the fair use, instead of when I had kids and was coaching a couple of years ago, when we still had Coopertown baseball and we were using their fields, we were second fiddle for everything.
They've agreed to do it unless they're.
Oh, yeah, and I'm working with folks from Coopertown Athletic to still have something salvaged. The other thing through Scott Rice is a secondary priority for me personally is that playground, because where'd it go? And so we've been able to locate it in a storage. And so my wife's on the PTO at the Coopertown Elementary, and we're gonna be able to assist with getting that through a contractor reinstalled so that the kids at Coopertown can get that playground back.
Yeah, that's not the school board's problem. I don't think that playground, I think that playground was paid for by individuals.
Exactly, well, same with the field on the donated land, obviously maintained by, but my point was, like anything that we should do to respect the heritage. I didn't grow up around here, but I respect the heritage, to find out what happened and what occurred, so that we can, and from balancing the history with the sense of community. And I completely agree with a lot of what you're saying.
But then they say that we can only use one field over there when it's constructed.
The new one.
You're talking about the new one.
That's the only
Okay, and I helped work on a softball field over on the tractor and Gladwell and the people in Kirktown helped build those 2 fields.
That's right.
The county didn't do it.
The concession stand on this new school was built by the athletic association. It wasn't built by the school.
The white pennies and furnished laborers come in, lay blocks and things, so we had a big hand in building the dugouts.
Yeah, and I know the previous mayor talked about, like a park, right? Having some, both the town center, but also some sort of Coopertown park, to have some bit, to maybe open up some of that, sense of community, right? But anyway, I'm not giving up from a sense of community on the use of fields and for the sake of the kids. I was a young kid once, and baseball was about all I had for a period of my time as a child. So I think the kids of our community need something from, it all starts from the young, the youth, and to give them some sort of sense of community with it.
I agree. So on that, a little bit of the same topic, I'm gonna jump to kind of one of the comments is our town zip code, talk about community. You know, I'm wanting to get a petition drive together. We've got a contact out of Nashville, Postal Service, that they will need to address this with them, of getting a town zip code. And I know it's been a topic for years, and there's been reasons why it has or hasn't happened. You know, with the population increase and everything, you know, I actually think we might be losing some tax revenue because we don't have a zip code. That's one of the issues. Because whenever you do census, a lot of our revenue coming from the state is based on census. And if for some reason the census, if you've got a Springfield zip code, Cedar Hill, or, you know, we've all got different zip codes, you know, there could be some errors in that. There's also could be some errors. We've pulled reports and it looks like the Amazon and drop ships and things like that are showing up. But again, that's driven by zip code. So what I'm gonna ask, but, you know, I'm bringing it up tonight to you guys as well, you know, and I know this doesn't fully address what you were after in the community, but this is gonna have to be a community thing where people, you know, a petition drive, where you go online and click and sign the petition, just like anything else. We can have them come in and get a petition. But this is something that's gonna have to be supported heavily by the community. We'll do our own proposal, right, you know, from the city, and ask you guys to sign as well, and we've got the fire department, police department behind us, we're gonna contact you 911 because of the safety issues and things like that. But we're gonna need the town to kind of rally behind this, if this is something that we want to do. Because I think if we petition, you know, Nashville and they turn us down, I don't think we're gonna go back 30 days later and ask for it. So, we wanna take the time on it to do it right. I can send you guys a draft. We've discussed it internally here, kind of a draft petition at the citizen level. There'll be some data that goes in at the town level. What are your guys' thoughts around that in relation to, A, do we want to pursue a zip code? Do you think the community will rally behind it?
We heard a lot of comments when we were knocking on doors about why don't we have our own zip code.
Yeah.
Now, whether the community will walk out the front door and sign it is a different issue. We can only put it out there for them to do.
Well, the two that have lived here the longest, I'd love to hear. I mean, you guys know the history, you know, around
I think
that.
most people would want it, but, you really gonna have to put the information out there and get them to know that it's out there.
I'll bring it up to men's club next month.
Now, this may be an issue where, I mean, spending a little bit of money, you may have to actually spend some money to put postcards out.
Every house.
Mail every house, you know, the QR code, the come to City Hall, you know, I don't think we have to have every citizen sign it, but I think we need an abundance, because I think from the federal government, they're gonna look at, okay, what's your demographic, what's your population changes, what's the concern, right? Okay, businesses, they're all in different towns, even though they're in one town. You know, there's showing all that conflict, showing the police department, okay, here's some of the issues when 911 calls come out, or anything.
You got Greenville address, you got Pleasantview address, you got Springfield address, I think we have a city. We got 4 different addresses or zip codes in this town.
And so, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion around tax issues. All that kind of stuff plays into it. So, the citizen involvement is going to help push that over the line. Okay? Because if you go to the government and say, look, we've got 1,000 people or better that say, we want this. The population is pushing 4,700, right? Whatever that number, however. And then you got the right answers for these other things. I think we have a good chance of doing it. I can't guarantee it, but I think we need to really try to push this. But I think it's going to be a community thing that we have to do.
I get a lot of feedback from the posts that I share that you put out with Windland, Windermere, and Pebblebrook. And if it could be some type of online petition where they click a link, sign. I mean, that's 3 major.
It's actually already up online. We just haven't released it yet because I wanted to have it tested. So yes,
But I do they do respond, and I get a lot of feedback from what I put out.
So that's something that you're going to hear more about, unless you guys really don't want to do it. I'm going to pursue to do it. Okay. The other thing I've kind of thrown out there is this business interview thing. I've had a little bit of feedback on it. You know, I want to showcase Coopertown business. Because again, it goes back to the zip code. People don't even know they're in Coopertown, right? You know, and let's celebrate the good things we do have here. You know, the you have a small business, you have a farming operation, you know, take 5 minutes, I'll give you some questions, we'll do a quick interview, post it on social media, and just celebrate yourself. It's free. You talk about the Chamber of Commerce, it's kind of an internal Chamber of Commerce in a way. Let's celebrate what we have here. And, you know, and if they don't want to do an interview, they can send something to City Hall and post it out there. But we got to start encouraging people to know what is in our town as well. The dump, I always talk about this every month, and I probably will for a while. I talked to TDEC, it's still active. They did an inspection January 17th. There's been no movement on closing that permit out. I suspect it will be. For those that were very adamant during the campaign that it was a done deal, nothing to see here, I would encourage them to. I've reached out to the developer landowner, I've had no call back. I would encourage them to discuss that matter with them and say, hey, if this is really a dead issue, maybe we ought to move to bed. I don't believe the planning commission has had anything brought up to their attention of building a home for that individual either. So I'd be curious why that's still an active file. That's all that I have on mine, but I kind of jumped across over to yours. Was there, I didn't mean to cut your thought off on that. You bring up a really good point as to how we can try to get the community to rally together. And you bring up a good point about the schools, that hey, there's some distance. Schools do bring and rally people together, you know. So all I can say is we'll keep trying. Any other comments for the cause? I know it's been a short evening.
I have a question. How many, we have additional, I know that he's not here, but what about any comments more about the map? Do you have any updates?
I have not heard any. I've seen people in here, unless you guys have been around when I'm not, but there's been nothing of any gripes or complaints that I'm aware of. But I want to follow that up with Vicki before, obviously, when she gets back. She's out, her mother is ill, she's in Iowa, so that's a great question.
But I guess for when also if during the Wednesday meeting, we try to post more about communication, let people make a comment about the current zoning versus this proposed.
That's on your website.
It's 20-year plan,
Okay.
right?
When I was double checking the meeting time, I saw that, didn't get a chance.
That's okay, just because we're trying to get public comment about this proposed, you know, it's a 20-year plan.
20-year?
Right, and what it could be, not what it is, or going to be necessarily, but.
You want civil input.
Correct, yes.
Because if we don't plan something, the state will plan for us.
That's correct.
Exactly.
And it's something I think Jeff wants to revisit at least every 3 years.
Yeah, I want to make it more of a living document. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to do it, but I mean, at least every 3 years on the docket. Hey, are we still good, or we need to revisit it? Just kind of go from there as the town changes. So, you got a comment?
Yeah, with regards to the zip code, one of the things that I think if you push that out for people to comment on is make sure, because I'm not sure, but I know the answer to this, make sure that you spell out what is the benefit to us of having the zip code, so that people can buy into it. Whatever those benefits would be, we need to know what those are. Then you draw people into that.
I agree, and some of them they're not going to fully understand because when I talk tax, I mean, can I give you a specific dollar amount? No, because it's somewhat of an unknown. I don't know what Springfield's getting at all.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
People need to understand that
There's those
it's one thing to say it's Coopertown has a zip code, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, what it means to us is those things that you just identified. And there's enough people out there that are interested in their taxes to realize that if we're not getting that benefit of our taxes, we need to.
Yes. All right, guys. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
And Matt, thanks for being a great pancake maker too.
Huh? Oh.
Yeah, I got a special pancake.
You have such good paper, Matt.
You did?